Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Indie Pride here. Before we get into this replay, I want to mention a quick thing about the patch coming out on November 30th, I believe. There is a new DLC coming out. It's the Otomo Clan Pack, and there are going to be the Otomo the Otomo clan will be available for campaign and co-op campaign, and it's a new clan, and they are allied with the Portuguese, and so that will give you access to some Portuguese units. And along with that patch, there will be the two Portuguese units. There is a mounted gunner unit. I don't remember what exactly it's called. It's like Portuguese Terceiro, or maybe that's the line unit. But then there's also a Portuguese matchlock unit, and those two will be like veterans. They're like a hero unit. You can only bring one, and you only have one bet slot for them. Um, and hopefully, I believe this is NDA, non-disclosure agreement kind of stuff. But by the time this goes up, the patch will be either only 1 day away or the patch will already be out. So none of this stuff will be violating any it won't be causing any problems. But I'm kind of excited for it. I think Avatar Conquest needs a breath of fresh air, some new life breathed into it, and I think these two units might provide some of that. And the patch will also um, change some of the prices on some units. So Nodachis and Naginata Samurai, I believe, are going up 50 Koku. Yari Cav, for some reason, CA decided it was a good idea to make them cost 900 now. So they're being nerfed even more. So my anti-samurai builds with Shogun will become a little bit more difficult. Not a huge deal, but a little aggravating. And then firebomb throwers are getting a buff. They're going to be more effective. And there are a couple other things as well that I think I might be forgetting, but that's all I know about it for right now. I just wanted to mention that before we got into this replay. Um, yeah, so I'm kind of excited for it. But this battle right here is a battleless game I played with Robinhood. I'm sure plenty of you know who he is. His channel will be down in the description below. He's a good friend of mine, good Fallen Samurai and Shogun 2 player, and he has his own YouTube. He has way more subs than me, but I figured I would add his channel in the description anyway, just because he shouted me out, so I'll shout him out. So he might get 5 subscribers or so from our channel. So let's take a quick look at the setups. I have a infantry and marine, 2 white bears, and a black tortoise force, 3 spear levy, shogatai, and a katana kachi. So it's a composite Fall of Samurai line build and Bushido Rush build. And Robin Hood is bringing a very line heavy build. He has two Tosas, White Bear, 2 Imperial Infantry, some cavalry, and I think he has a Shogatai off in the trees and some Yariki. Yes, he does. And then across from me is Good Boy. He is bringing Vanilla Shogun 2. He's got some Naginata Warrior Monks, a bunch of stuff hidden, a lot of Cav. Um, his army setup isn't that spectacular or interesting. And Sean Tapor has a ton of line infantry. He's got some Azure Dragons, uh, Black Bear, Vermilion Bird Force, 2 of those, and some Marine units, 2 of those. So let's get into the replay. Press play right now. Um, this was a pretty interesting battle, actually. I really, really like Numazawa. I think it's a really interesting map. I don't think it gets played anywhere near enough. In fact, I almost never get to play anymore. And it's actually probably one of my favorite maps. I think terrain-wise, it's very interesting. I mean, most of the maps in this game, they're just a flat piece of land with some occasional hills and woods. But Numazawa has some very defining characteristics. Obviously, it has the 2 choke points in the water here, and that makes for some interesting deployment and macro and micro play. Um, and I just really like the map. I think it looks cool, especially in summer, which is what it is right now. It's why it is looking like it's evening or so. It's just what summer looks like on this map. Um, so what's going to happen here is Robin Hood is going to push up right at the start of this battle, and he's going to get into a line battle with Sean Tapor. And I would say they have pretty equivalent line builds. In fact, I might even say that Sean has more or better line infantry, just because he has the 2 Marine units. Um, I have never really liked Tosas. Robinhood does use them a lot. He likes their 150 range, and which I perfectly understand. I just think they're a bit too expensive for their for what they do. Um, but Good Boy is going to push across the river here with his cavalry and set up and just kind of be a threat to Robin Hood's front. And I'm going to quickly move up and get the farmhouse. But quickly, let's shift over here to the back of the map here behind Robin Hood because Good Boy has a Hanzo's Shadows behind Robin Hood's lines. And Robin Hood is going to quickly notice that and get a Shogatai into melee with them. Personally, I would have just used my shooter gen and just shot them to death because they're hero units and armor does not stop bullets. So he probably could have just shot them with his bodyguard and not lost any men. But he's going to quickly take care of those Hanzo Shadows. And now the line battle is beginning to start. His Tosas are fighting the Royal Marines of Shantapur, getting some good volleys off. And this is not a cost-effective trade for Shantapur. But he is going to quickly shift up, and Robin Hood decides not to pull back. He just kind of lets his Tosas shoot, which isn't always the best idea, but I think he realized that he could get the shots off he needed to and do as much damage as he wanted without pulling back. So, I mean, it's not really a big deal that he decided not to pull them back. But he's getting some really good volleys off. This is the Black Bears, and he's done a ton of damage to that Royal Marine. And yeah, it's just going to be a traditional line battle over on this side for a little bit. Just the Tosas and the United States Marines of Robin Hood are getting some shots off. And I'm not actually sure who won that engagement. I would say that was pretty even. Or maybe Shantapur won that because Robin Hood lost 2 Tosas and they're very expensive units. But we're going to shift over to the middle here because Good Boy is going to feint a cavalry charge and then pull back and then decide that he actually wants to do a cavalry charge, which is never a good idea. Let me just warn you now. Charging line infantry from the front, especially when they're supported by cavalry, it's just not a good idea. You will lose your cavalry, and we're going to see that here. I've said it before, but line infantry has a bonus versus cav. They're kind of like spear units, and obviously they still have the volleys. The bullets do a ton of damage to cavalry as well. So he's going to lose all his cav here, and Robin Hood is not going to lose all that many men. He's going to lose a couple cav units, but it's not going to be devastating by any means. And yeah, Good Boy just lost all of his cav really quickly and didn't do very much damage. So that was not a good play by him. But we're going to now shift over to my side of the battle because I noticed that Good Boy is running his melee units across the river, and I know that they're going to get slowed down. So I quickly shift my line units to get into a position to fire on them. And I'm going to do a lot of damage, and we're going to get some close-ups of these volleys because his melee units have no meat shields to protect them. And so all of his expensive infantry units are just going to get shot straight up. And he's going to send this Naginata Samurai right at me. And they're slow units to begin with, but they're running through the river right now. And let's get a close-up of this because Infantry and Marine and the White Bear are going to get a volley off here, and that unit is going to disappear in a matter of seconds. Yeah, they just lost 60 men, and they're continuing to lose, and they're about to rout. And all of them, that's 750 Koku down the drain in a matter of seconds. And so, again, not a good play by Good Boy. But Robin Hood now is starting to lose a lot of his line units, and so he's not in great shape at the moment. But he's going to realize this, and he's going to pull back pretty soon here and wait for me to get up on their flank. And I think the big issue that they had in this battle was that they focused on Robin Hood, like with the cavalry and everything. And yeah, they did some damage to him, but at the same time, the trade and the stuff they sacrificed to hurt Robin Hood probably wasn't worth it. And arguably, I would say I'm the bigger threat because I have a composite build that can do damage 2 ways with light infantry and with my melee units. And right now, they just don't have the units to stop a melee rush from me. But I want to get a real surround off going, and so I get my Yari key and push across the lake and come around behind them, and I'm just going to sit behind them and pose a constant threat to their to their flank and their rear, and there's nothing they can do about it now. They don't have cavalry to engage mine or time mine down. So they're in big trouble at the moment. They've got Yariki behind them. They've got 4 line units of mine and 3 or 4 line units of Robin Hoods, and of course my dangerous melee rush with the Shogatai and the Katana Kachi pushing across the river now. So we have their backs to the wall here, and as my infantry and marine gets a nice little volley off on his warrior monks, kills 20 of them. We have their backs to the lake here. They have no room to maneuver. Basically, this is just going to be their last stand. The balance bar says that it's about even right now. I would wholeheartedly disagree. They don't really have a great chance of winning this battle. What they could have done at this moment is quickly all shifted over and tried to finish off Robin Hood really quick, and then maybe taken the hill behind Robin Hood to get a terrain advantage. They don't decide to do that though, and my melee rush is coming in. I get a little clumped up, but obviously that's going to happen when you're pushing across the choke point here, and I'm going to spread out as I get across it. And my Spear Levy are in loose formation to minimize casualties from line units. And I'm going to push my line units up and bring my Yariki. Let's get a close-up of this Yariki getting some rear charges off, because that will do a ton of damage. They only have their Avatar's bodyguard pretty much to prevent my cavalry from doing some damage. So I get a rear charge off now, hit Shantapor's general and Good Boy's general, and I decide to hit the Azure Dragon Force in the rear as well. And my line units are moving up, and my infantry are into melee. And this is just going to be mopping up pretty much from here on out. There's not much they can do at this point. So yeah, we just got pretty much a perfect surround off. And because they threw away their cavalry so early in the battle, there really wasn't much they could do. And although Shantapur did have a pretty powerful build, Numaza was not the best map for a strictly line build, because there are some small hills that kind of throw off your line units, and he didn't really have room to spread out and get the full volleys off that he would have liked to. But we just cleaned up that battle, and we are going to go to the stat screen in a minute. So I'll see you in a few. All right, so I just want to touch on that DLC and patch notes that I was talking about. I just want to say none of that is confirmed by CA. At this moment, I'm making this commentary on the 27th, so 3 days before the patch is set to release, and I don't think this will go up until probably the day of or the day after the patch comes out. So just want to touch on that. None of the things I said are well, a couple of them are confirmed. Not everything I said is confirmed by CA. Like the price increases, I'm not 100% sure on. I just heard that's what they're doing. And for the 2 units that will be in Avatar Conquest, I'm not sure what I said, so I'm just going to say it again. There is 1 matchlock unit that is a ground matchlock unit, like an infantry matchlock unit that is decent in melee and have very good reload stats. And I believe those are the Portuguese Terceiros, I think. And then there's another unit which is very similar to the mounted gunner. It's a Portuguese mounted unit that has guns, and that is similar to how good mounted gunners were before they were... Well, actually, I can't remember if there was a nerf for them or not, but they're basically a Portuguese mounted gunner unit. So yeah, in terms of this battle, I had a lot of fun playing with Robin Hood. He's a good friend of mine, very good player. So please go subscribe to him if you aren't a subscriber who came to my channel from him, because he did shout me out a while back. And looking at the stats real quick, as I said in a previous battle, I usually deploy around 2,000 men with these Bushido rushes. Although this was more of a composite build, it had some elements of line and some Bushido rush. Robin Hood deployed 1,400. Good Boy brought a absolutely tiny army, and I would assume that's because of all the cavalry he brought, and I think he also brought Yoritomo's Yabasume, and then, which is a hero bow cav unit. And then Shantapur deployed 1,680. Me and Robinhood had pretty similar amount of kills, about 1,000. Good Boy didn't do much of anything. Sorry. And Shantapur had about 900 kills. So, looking at the unit statistics real quick, I had 116 with my infantry marine and didn't lose a single man. Obviously, 150 range helps with that, and the fact that Good Boy didn't have any ranged units on my side of the battle. Shogatai 105, Yariki 100, just pretty evenly spread out. Good Boy had 66 kills on the Shogatai with his Hanzo Shadows, but other than that, not a whole lot from his units. Hero unit with 46 kills is not very good. Oh, and he also brought a Mounted Samurai hero, so that's a lot of Koku for not very many kills. Robin Hood had 250 with his United States Marine, obviously because Marines are overpowered and they do stuff like that. And then Shantapur had 150 kills with his Royal Marines and Vermilion Bird Force, and he did pretty well. I think if he had gotten more support from Good Boy, I think they could have given us a run for their money. But I enjoyed that battle because I love Numazawa a lot, and I think we did a good job surrounding them, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. So, looking forward to that patch, and when it comes out, I will see y'all on the battlefield. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.